unit of Shoot Time in the Morning with Mitch. We're here, we're back, we're with you, we're here for you. We are going to get into our next realm of endeavor here in Shoot Time in the Morning with Mitch. We have been extended to December on distance learning, and we understand some of you guys may like that. Most of you guys are willing to push through it, and some of you guys may hate it. But we want to remind you one key thing, Mr. Moore-Henwick.
Attitude determines altitude.
Oh yeah, so positivity is the key, and we're here right with you to do and make the best of it, all right? We've been doing various movements to keep our body moving, to build strength with our body as we go through, to get out of the chair that we're usually sitting in front of the computer for so long. And just a couple of housekeeping notes, all right? I know particularly for my class and Mr. Mitchell's class as well, and Mr. Moore-Henwick, I'm sure, would not mind. When you're watching the Shoot Time in the Morning videos like this one, you don't have to stay seated in your chair, all right? Get up, walk around, do some stretches. As long as you can see and compute the information, that's great. We want you to move. We don't want you to be sitting down really almost at all, all right? Just sit down, and every other class, we want you to get up and move. So feel free to stand up. Feel free to grab your computer and walk around the house with it. As long as you get service and you can follow, that's fine with me, all right? The deal is such. We have learned our muscles, all right? Our major muscle groups. Now, we are going to learn how they function. But first, I want to point out a large distinction that many of you know, but some of you may not know, all right? There are two types of muscles in the human body. Two types. One is voluntary, the other is involuntary, right? If you think you hear a word that might be similar to something you've heard before, then those words is because you have. Think volunteer. When you volunteer, it means you can choose to do something, all right? So voluntary means a muscle that you yourself can control at any time, all right? Anytime you want to move, you can do that, all right? But here's a question. Can you stop your heart from beating? No, you can't. Why might that be? Well, maybe because the body was smart enough to realize if you could stop your heart from bleeding, your blood from flowing, somebody might just pass away and die because they don't have the control of it, all right? Our heart is self-regulated. It runs on electrical impulses, and it's an example of an involuntary muscle. All right, what are some other examples of involuntary muscles?
I'm breathing here.
Your lungs. Sure, you can hold your breath. Yes, that might be a confusing one, because you can hold your breath. And you can choose to breathe. But on a normal basis, do you think about breathing? You shouldn't. If you had to think about every breath you take, your mind would be completely preoccupied with only breathing, and that's it. You breathe on a regular basis, right? Your lungs, they contract and expand, and then contract again. Pull in air, and push it out, just like that, all right? You have a digestive system. You eat, and you have food goes into your stomach, all right? Well, it goes through your whole digestive system, and then you have a bowel movement at the end, or you urinate, right? Those muscles they're voluntary in the fact that you can control, but it's a natural process that runs everything through, and then it'll tell you when it's time to relieve yourself. And these are just natural functions, guys. You guys are in 7th and 8th grade. If you say you haven't done that stuff, you're kidding yourself, okay? Now,
what about blinking?
Blinking is an interesting one, too. Blinking, you can't choose to blink, but you probably don't realize that you blink several times a minute. Several times a minute. And the reason is to keep your eyes moist. To keep your eyes moist, to keep lubricated, so you don't have dry eyes. All right? And that's something that you just do naturally. It's an involuntary movement. Anything that you do involuntary is an involuntary movement. All the muscles we talked about previously are voluntary muscles. Voluntary in the sense of, if I want to pick something up, I know I just reach over and grab it. No problem. All right? I know also, if I want to stand up, I got to press down on my feet, push through my heels, transfer the power of my muscles in through my legs, and stand up. All right? That's voluntary. I can stand up and sit down whenever I want. Unless I were injured, I can have that option. So, we got two types of muscles, voluntary and involuntary muscle, and that's a very important thing to find out. All right? You know your voluntary processes you can control, your involuntary processes you cannot control. Okay? So, we are going to very shortly get up and go to the weight room to learn about how we can develop these muscles using machines and free weights to build strength and build endurance in our muscles. We learned a couple of bodyweight exercises when we learned what the muscles were. But if you get strong, you need to then, at some point, learn how to add resistance to the motion. So, for instance, an example could be for my legs, all right? I have three major muscle groups on my legs. I have my quadriceps, I have my hamstrings, and my gastrocnemius, okay? So, the exercise we said that's best, that incorporates all three of those, is the squat. If I do a squat, and I come down low enough, and come straight back up, all right, that's great. Now, if I can do 10 of those, wonderful. 20, even better. 30, great. At a certain point, I'll be here forever trying to get a workout doing bodyweight squats. So it's more efficient to add resistance. Well, what is resistance? Good question. Resistance is adding weight against the force of nature, the force that keeps you in line, planted to the ground. And what is that? What makes this ball fall to the ground when I drop it? Anyone?
Gravity?
There it is! There it is! There it is! We got gravity, folks. Now, when we work against gravity, all right, whatever the motion is that's working against gravity, if I add weight, whatever the muscle controlling that motion is will be working. So if I'm squatting, which way is gravity pulling? Gravity is pulling downwards. So if I come downwards, I can let gravity do the work for me. I come down, that's not me really working. Now, when I stand up, I'm fighting against gravity. And what is the resistance? Just my body weight is fighting against gravity. So my body weight is the resistance load on the muscle that's helping me stand up. And me standing up, I am straightening the leg at the knees. What muscle straightens the leg at the knees? If you didn't know that, you probably didn't get it right on your quiz. It is the quadriceps. Okay? So, that being said, when I do a bodyweight squat, I'm getting resistance in my quadriceps from my body weight. If my body weight is too light for me to get a good workout, I can then think about adding weight, holding a weight, putting a backpack on, or doing squats with a barbell or dumbbells to increase the resistance. So we're headed over to the weight room in about 30 seconds to 1 minute, but first Mr. Morthamer has an announcement for you.
Hey guys, remember the purple square? We got you on that last one. How many of your students, Mr. Mitchell, got that purple square in your hand?
If I gave them the hint that it was at the very end of the video, they would get it, but if I didn't say anything, not very many.
We got some. How about you, Mr. Shoemake? How many?
For the last one, I only had 3 people the whole day did.
I had about 5 people out of all my students. So you're talking around about 150 students. So out of hundreds of students, only a handful, maybe less than a dozen. Well, Mr. Mitchell, when you gave that clue, I know some of them got it. But we've changed it up a little bit. Instead of the purple square, by the way, the purple square may come back. It may come back. I was talking to it earlier. It's disappointed. It's not part of the Shoot Down the More Mitch videos, the second realm, or the second series. But Here's what we want you to focus on. En route to the weight room, you got to find something out of place. We're not going to tell you what it is. You just got to look. It's going to be something obviously out of place, and it will progressively get more difficult. So that's en route to the weight room. Mr. Shoemaker can be holding his phone pretty normally, and whatever's in the camera, look for something out of place. It can either be in this room, en route to the weight room, in the weight room, en route back to the weight room, or again in this room to end. All right? So we're going to be up and out. We're going to the weight room, guys. Here we go. Join us.
Off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
What's that song? Gravity?
Gravity, gravity, depravity. Ooh.
Keep it where the light is. Now, I know Mr. Mornway's class knows the weight room, but I don't think your class or my class knows very much.
Not yet. Not yet. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been in here one time. This is our weight room. We'll get our automatic lights going here. There we go. Okay, for the 8th graders, you have been in here before. For the 7th graders, this is our weight room. All right? Our weight room is designed to help you build your bodies and build strength. All right, as of now, you have had a basic understanding of what muscles are located where and how they work. Now, the weight room is a great way to add resistance. And we're going to explain these pieces of equipment to you and their functions, okay? The first one we're going to start with, since we talked a little bit about legs, is the leg press. All right, the leg press works the quadricep, all right? It is the same principle as a squat, except for you're going to do it from a sitting down position, all right? And it eliminates the need to sink down by starting you in this legs bent position. So what you would do is you would first come up and make sure that the seat is all the way close to the platform. You're going to make sure what the weight is.
Do they understand about weight plates? Do you think the kids understand what weight plates are and the weight pin? I don't know if they ever. I know Mr. Morgan's class does.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For the new 7th graders, all right, what happens is you have a pen and you have a weight stack, all right? On the weight stack, there are numbers that indicate how much weight is going to be for each plate. Now, what you can do is you can sit into the weight stack and you're going to determine how much weight is appropriate for you, okay? Now, I would start light. I would get a feel for the form, and then once your form is good, you can slowly start to add. So, I'm going to start here just by putting it in a nice 25-pound plate, all right? And I'll show you how to use this piece of equipment, right? You don't want your feet here. Remember, we're mimicking the squat in the leg press, okay? So what I'm going to do is put my feet on the platform. This is a little smaller than I remember it being as a 7th grader, okay? I'm going to grab my handles with my hands, all right? And now all I'm doing is pushing against the plate with my feet like I'm standing up, straightening my leg at the knee joint. And what muscle is controlling straightening your leg at the knee joint? That would be the quadricep. So I step, I push against the weight plates all the way till my legs are straight. And then I lower it down. And this is not going to work because this machine seems to have a little bit of a problem.
You can't extend it?
No, I think the belt is gone.
Well, this is interesting, and sometimes, guys, as an 8th grade teacher, we've already done weightlifting last school year. This happens. These are 2 men here problem solving. Look at these guys. This happens sometimes.
All right. Well, when in doubt, you don't worry about broken machinery, all right? We'll show you how to do a squat and increase instead.
But that's good, because we're going to have to call somebody and get this machine fixed, because I'm figuring we got plenty of time. We get the kids back here in January. That baby be ready to go.
Absolutely.
Who are you going to call, Mr. Mitchell? Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters, baby.
All right, we're gonna transfer over here. This is a problem solving 101 with Mr. Shoemake. Machine breaks and he's going into something else. Tell us about it, Mr. Shoemake.
Okay, we're still working on the quadriceps. How do we work the quadriceps? Okay, remember the quadriceps work in the squat. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the squat rack or the power rack where we can do various exercises. Right now, we're focused on our legs. All right, remember. The purpose of a squat is to develop the lower part of the body, the legs, and what you do is put your feet slightly wider than shoulder width, and your toes angled at a small angle, and then you're going to start by breaking the hips and coming straight down until you get your belt line even to your knee. Now, if you can go lower, then go lower. Some of you guys can get your gluteus maximus to your ankles. But Mr. Shoemaker is a little pro at this, so what you would do is add some resistance. How do we add resistance? Well, by adding weight, of course. Here we have what's called a barbell. All right? The barbell is a device that you can use by itself, or you can add weight plates to it.
How much did that barbell weigh, Mr. Shoemaker?
This particular barbell is what's called an Olympic barbell, and it weighs 45 pounds, right? 45 pounds. And you have additional weight you can add in the denomination of 45, 35, which are over here, 25, 10, 5, and 2.5. Now remember, every time that you do a new workout of the same routine, you want to add the smallest amount possible. You don't want to go from 2.5 to 45, all right? That would be doing yourself a disservice. You want to go the smallest amount possible. When you do a squat, what you like to do is come through, grab the bar with an even grip, slightly wider than shoulder width, all right?
How do you know it's an even grip, Mr. Shoemaker?
You know it's an even grip by looking at the knurling on the bar. There's smooth and there's knurling. You guys can't feel that, but it's rough. It's made for you to grip. And there are marks on both sides of the barbell called power rings. All right, the power rings are markings for bench press. You can use the bar for bench press or for squat or a number of exercises. What you want to do is you want to evenly place your hands on the bar by finding a mark. I like to use where the smoothness meets the knurling. I use my thumb. I put it right at the end. I mean exactly. I'm not talking about in the ballpark. Exactly at the end. I straighten my thumb out. And then I make a fist around where my hand naturally would fall. Okay, so as I grab the bar, I'm going to have my feet properly spaced. I'm going to make sure I'm balanced and I'm braced. I want to breathe in to make a nice neutrally supported spine with my core muscles. All right? And then I'm going to duck under and put the bar on the trapezius muscle. All right? The trapezius muscle. I'm going to come underneath, put the bar on my trapezius muscle. I'm going to find my footing, and I'm going to squat down the same way I would with the bodyweight squat. The same way I would with the bodyweight squat. Now, if I were in a position to increase weights, which luckily I am, I would know exactly where I am from building up. You guys should start at a small amount. Mr. Shoemaker would come up to grab, say, a 45-pound plate.
And those are called weight plates, right, Mr. Shoemaker?
Yes, they're 45-pound weight plates. What you do to one side, you want to have evenly put on the other side. I have 45 pounds on one side. I want to put a 45-pound plate on this side as well. Additionally, I want to make sure the weight doesn't fall off. So I'll grab what's called a clip. These clips ensure that the weight doesn't fall off. And what you do is squeeze the clip. It'll get bigger, big enough to allow it to go around the end of the bar. Put it right against the plate and release it, and then it won't move anywhere. It's stuck. The weight doesn't come off.
You think one of those would fit around my nose, Mr. Shoemake?
Maybe two of them.
Maybe two.
And why is it important to make sure that those weight plates are stable, Mr. Shoemaker?
Why don't you tell us, Mr. Mitchell?
Well, if you think about lifting anything, and if you tilt a little bit when you're lifting, and you probably won't even know that you're tilting a little bit, that weight plate could slide. And if that weight plate starts to slide, then the weight on one side is different than the weight on the other, and before you know it, one of those weight plates could slide totally off, and then the bar would flip totally over, and oh my God! I think that's about it.
All right. So just an example again, we want to make sure our hands are balanced, all right, even on both sides. I want to find the exact even point, all right. I don't want to have, if you're behind me, Mr. Orhenwig, I don't want to have one hand over here and one hand in like this, because I'm not balanced. I want to make sure I have an even mark. I can grab it with my thumb mark indicator. I can put my pinkies both around the power ring. I just want to have the same mark. All right. I'm going to go underneath the same way. I'm going to brace my core so it can support the weight. I'm going to put the weight of the bar onto my trapezius muscle. I'm going to use my feet, bending my legs, not bending my back. All right? I'm underneath, push up, step off. All right? I'm going to breathe in on the way down and come all the way up straight. Breathe out at the top. One more time. Breathe in. All the way out on the way down. And that is one example of how to build your muscles by adding resistance. How much resistance is it? Well, instead of just my body weight, I also have my body weight plus 45 pounds for the bar, and then additional 45 pounds on each side for each plate. So 45 pounds, 45 pounds, 45 pounds. It's 135 pounds plus my body weight. So keep building up, you'll get strong, and keep on pushing.
All right, guys, you ready to make our way back to the climbing room?
Let's do it.
So eventually, guys, you'll be up in this weight room. We also have a cardio room. We'll get to that in upcoming videos, perhaps. So you see all the signage on the walls.
Weight room rules.
Weight room rules.
Do's and don'ts of the bench press.
Yeah, there's Mr. Mitchell coming up behind us.
Sneaking up on you.
There's the stairs to the men's office, taking a left right down though. You guys remember coming down this hallway for war ball, screaming through right to the gym? Well, not yet. Nope. Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, here we go, Mr. Shoemake.
All right, we definitely, Mr. Shoemake's class will be whipping Mr. Mornhebig and Mr. Mitchell's class in some war ball.
Oh, it's not going to happen that way.
In a regular society.
I don't think so. I'm telling you right now, I miss that weight room. Oh, I can't wait till these kids get back, and hopefully it'll be in January.
I can't wait for war ball. I like ripping heads off. If we play you guys, we'll rip your heads off in a loving way, of course, right?
Wow, it's like Gladiator.
Hey guys, I want to run something by you. We're going to go down a little bit different alley. It's just going to be real quick. All right, but right here to my right, your middle through the video, we have Mr. Shoemake. And we're going to call Mr. Shoemake the Jolly Geographer.
Jolly Geographer?
Jolly Geographer. Now, to my far right and your left on the video will be Mr. Mitchell. We're going to call him the Fun Factor Actor.
I've been called worse.
And then me, your beloved will be called the joke gesture. So we're going to have Mr. Shoemake start us off as the jolly geographer, and he's going to give you some geography information.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Sultan of Schnoz. We are here in the Almaden Valley of the Santa Clara County, all right? That is our location, all right? Geography is physical as far as our movement, but geography is also being able to know your areas outside and knowing your environment. And physical education is also knowing your environment, knowing what to do in certain situations and how to develop skills. We traditionally think of it as, okay, how do I throw a football or how do I shoot a basketball? But hiking is physical education. Do you know what to do if you're on a trail and you see a mountain lion behind you? Do you know what to do if you are walking and you step in quicksand? These are all things that are not traditionally thought of as physical education, but it's your physical interaction with the environment. So we want to start early with the geographer and ask you a very simple question here. How can we orient ourselves in the Almaden Valley, and how can we orient ourselves in San Jose? Well, if you have me before, you know we like to talk about airplane traffic direction and natural monuments or natural landmarks. So the simple one we're going to ask, the very first one is, we have a very, very popular landmark that can be seen everywhere from San Jose this way through this wall. If this wall was there, you'd be able to see it. It is a big radar base on a mountain that is right beside us. That mountain is due south in the Almaden Valley. You ever want to know which way south is? That is due south if you look towards that mountain range. The question of the day for the Jolly Geographer is, what is the name of that mountain with the radar base on it that is due south in Almaden?
Fun fact.
That's a good question.
That is a good question, Jolly Geographer.
Well, thank you.
How about you, fun fact actor?
Fun fact. It's football time. I was watching games for the first time. I was very happy. And I was noticing, for some reason, I was looking at the helmets. And I was watching a team play, and this team had a plant on its helmet. The only NFL team that actually has a plant on its helmet. What team is that?
Now, that's a good question, too.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. Well, I'm your joke jester, and I have a joke. Now, my two friends over here are going to help me out with this particular joke. All right? Here we go. A joke from the joke jester. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Hutch.
Hutch.
Rescue. Hey, guys, I know we're very dynamic, and we come up with a lot of different things. Whoa, my goodness.
Whoa, what's going on here? What are we even doing?
Well, we're building healthy relationships.
And what's the purpose of that?
HR squared.
Honesty, respect, responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. Remember, altitude determines
Attitude.
That's right. And attitude determines altitude. And we're going to climb high through the sky, trying to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. And keep on pushing. Push on 3. 1, 2, 3.